Hi, I'm Nikki Morrow with To the Moon and Back Behavioral Consulting, and I am a parent coach that is here to help you make your day-to-day lives easier as parents. So today I'm going to talk about 4 things that you can do to set your child up for long-term success. So we all have kind of been taught that we want to give positive feedback to our children, right? But did you know that there's actually a way that you could be hurting them more than you're helping them? So there are some studies out there that have shown that the way that you give this positive feedback or this praise or encouragement really does affect your child in the long term. So there are a few distinctions that I want you guys to start looking out for when you are giving this positive feedback. Because positive feedback is so valuable. It's so valuable for our kids to learn their place in the world and to learn what works, what doesn't work. It's, all of us learn from getting feedback, positive and negative. So in regards to positive feedback, the best way to set your child up for long-term success is first to be specific. So you want to make sure that instead of saying, you're such a good boy, you're such a good girl, you want to be specific. You want to say, wow, it really helped me that you took the groceries out of the car today. That was such a big help. And then when you helped me put all the groceries in the refrigerator, wow, that really helped me out. Thank you so much for being such a great helper. So that way it's very specific. They have more information to more feedback to go ahead and base, their future things that they do on, right? They know how to, wow, that really worked, or that helped my mom out a lot. Let me do more of that next time. They have those specifics to go off of to gauge their behavior, right? So the next thing that's very important is to mean it. You want to make sure that you're not just giving your child this fluff, to give them this positive feedback because you heard that it's important to do when you're parenting, right? You want to make sure that you really legitimately mean it, because kids pick up on insincerity so quickly and so fast. They'll just learn to check you out and, do basically go based off of that, and you don't want them to check you out. That you want them to really take it in and be like, wow, my mom really meant that. That's important. So another way that you can make sure that they know that you mean it is that you don't do it all the time. You don't go overboard, right? Sometimes well-meaning parents, they're praising their child constantly throughout the day. They're giving them constant encouragement, which then kind of just begins to be background noise, something that we hear constantly. We're kind of like, yeah, whatever, right? It starts to be background noise. We start to tune it out. So when you really want them to get it, just make sure that you mean it. Make sure that you're taking those opportunities to give them that positive feedback and really letting them know how much you appreciate it or value that. So the third thing is to make it about them. So this is a big distinction between praise and encouragement, right? So praise a lot of times is geared towards how the person giving the praise, the mom or the dad in this case, feels about what their child did, versus, encouragement is more geared towards how the child feels about what they've accomplished, right? So the studies that I mentioned before, those studies show that with praise, it builds this external motivation. It builds this kind of need for external validation, for approval from others. That is what the child becomes focused on, and that's what they build their identity around, is what do other people think of me? Not what do I think of me? Why am I doing something? Because it's important to me. So that's the distinction. With encouragement, it's very much nurturing that internal motivation of, how did this make you feel? How did getting an A on your project make you feel? Do you think you got the grade that you deserve? Do you think you did your best? More of like asking those questions rather than just blanket statement of like, wow, I'm so proud of you for getting an A. Now I can go tell all my friends what a smart kid I have. That would be more focused on the parent and how the parent feels. So then that child is taught that that's how they gain their parents' approval, is by constantly getting good grades. And that's approval in the language of parent children is typically related to love. That means my parent loves me is when I get the approval. So then what do? They take that out into the world and they say, oh, okay, approval means love. So, you run into the situation when they're teenagers or preteens where they get into peer pressure situations. And if they have that external motivation, that need to please others and keep up their image, then that is what, those are the kids that tend to really get into bad situations because of peer pressures, because they're always looking for that approval from others. So, again, we're looking at long-term success. We want to make sure that we're setting our child up to make these good choices. It's also been shown that children that get more praise, which means like external motivation for doing what they do, that they tend to shy away from challenges, right? They want to make sure that they keep this image of being good at sports or getting good grades. And so if they know that there's a situation that they may get challenged and they could possibly fail at, they're going to kind of shy away from that. They're going to shy away from taking that challenge, versus the kid that's internally motivated. They're going to be more like, you know what, I want the challenge. I welcome the challenge. And if I fail, then I learn from it. And it builds that resilience. It builds that internal confidence and work ethic and all that down the end of the line. So the fourth thing is to make it about the process and not the result. So why that is important, or let me give you an example first. So a lot of times we'll say, oh, wow, you got that A. Good job getting that A, And so what it becomes about is it becomes about getting that grade, not about how hard they worked, not about how, how much effort they put into it and whether or not they put their best work into it. It becomes about that grade. And so it kind of, again, builds this external motivation versus this internal drive and this appreciation for, I did my best, I worked my hardest, and this sense of integrity and, again, work ethic of, of attaining that A because I actually worked hard at it. And you know what? If I got a C and I worked hard to get that C, then I'm still gonna feel good about it. Or if I know that there's something that I could have done better, then that's time to reflect, So you give that child that opportunity to reflect of like, you got a C. Do you think it's what you deserve to get? Did you do your best work? And so kind of guiding them through that self-reflection versus saying like, oh, you got a C, you're grounded for a week. It kind of teaches them and gives them their own internal gauge as far as that. So, the example of, wow, you got an A on your project. So if you want to phrase that in a more productive way for the long term, you would again say, wow, it looked like you got an A on the project, How do you think that makes you feel, or how does that make you feel? Do you think you worked really hard? Or I can tell that you worked really hard. I saw you putting so much time and effort into that. No wonder you got an A kind of situation. So you really focus more on the process versus just that end result, that good grade. So I hope that this was very informative. When I first learned this information, it was kind of mind-blowing given my history. So I hope that you find it just as mind-blowing, but it is very important and critical to kind of be aware of this. You know, yes, we're gonna slip up and make it about us sometimes or just give them that fluff, but it's just a matter of having the voice in the back of your mind of like, oh, I remember hearing this, so that you can be more conscious and aware of how you're giving that positive feedback to your child. So I will talk to you again next time. And as always, if I can support you in any way, please feel free to reach out to me via my Instagram or email me, any of those avenues, phone call. All that information's on my Instagram, my Facebook. And yeah, I will talk to you later. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.